Okay, gamers, this time I decided to torture myself again for no reason. Initially, I wouldn't really call this video a challenge, but trust me, it ended up being one alright. Look, I'm getting magi letters. You were at the festival with me, you fuckers. What do you mean you're mad at me? Hobby, just so you know, meal invitations are a bit of a big thing here in Bywater, but I'm sure you had a good reason for missing the meal. Bruh, we were at the fucking festival together. So, when the Tales of the Shire came out, I didn't really care that much, to be honest, since I'm in no way a Lords of the Rings fan, and I haven't even seen it or read it. Please don't click off. And I know I'm like half a year late, but when I heard everyone bashing the game and saying how bad it is, that sparked my interest immediately. So I decided to go in and 100% the game to feel just how bad it really is. I want to get something springy, but everything sucks. I'm sorry, everything sucks here. Is it just me? Is it just me? Which was not the best idea in hindsight, since again I'm no fan of the franchise and I'm also not a huge cozy farming sim gamer. The only game of the genre I have ever played was Stardew Valley, obviously, which is definitely not good enough credentials to be the judge of whether a cozy farming sim is good or not. I guess, to be fair, I had one other farming sim experience, but it's not so cozy, I guess. This is why I decided that it's of utmost importance to prep myself accordingly. And that's why it took me like 4 months to freaking get this video out, because I did try my bestest to understand what it means to be a good cozy farming simulator at its core. So I bought Coral Island and My Time at Sandrock, and actually one more game, but I didn't have time to freaking play it, and I decided to play them and finish them to understand like what it means to be a good farming simulator. I cared for animals, I watered crops, I did laps around the map, I clicked the left mouse button like a mad lad while fighting enemies, and usually while gaming, I play for gameplay, not the story, as much. So I tend to skip dialogues and notes, and I give myself less than a second to take in the speech bubble that is presented to me. I actually read very fast, so I end up getting like 67% of the story. But while playing Coral Island and My Time at Sandrock, I really tried my best to read everything and to understand every single character, and I ended up liking them a lot. And during my time in Sandrock, I encountered the love of my life that shares the same birthday as me. Literally the guy she tells you not to worry about. My heart forever belongs to Logan. What I'm trying to say is that I had a really good time playing those games and got a little carried away. I spent hundreds of hours just, you know, preparing to start recording this video and to play the Tales of the Shire. All the things I do for you, dear viewers, so please consider interacting with those algorithm boosting buttons, if you may. So, these games gave me the necessary experience to determine what makes a cozy farming simulator a good cozy farming simulator, and we'll get to that in the third part of this video. Also, before we finally jump into the juicy stuff, I need to admit that I lied to you about the Stardew Valley being my only cozy farming sim experience, something terrible that I really don't want to admit and conveniently slipped to my mind. But for the purpose of clarity of the experiment, I'll tell you. Nay, I'll show you. But now that I'm an accredited expert in the cozy farming sim genre, or at least I kind of have an idea what cozy gamers want to see in a game, let's finally get to discussing the Tales of the Shire. When I started the game, I wanted this to be a blind playthrough, but of course I've heard people disliking the game a lot. I just didn't know why exactly. I'm gonna just state it again. I'm not a Lords of the Rings fan, so if there's anything going on with the story, it will certainly go over my head, and I'm sorry about that. Basically, I'm here to judge the game for the game. Wait, what? She sent me a letter with the gifts 2 times. Like they didn't expect anyone to reach winter, because as soon as they reached winter, every single day of winter there is some kind of bug. We start off, as per usual, with the character creation. Honestly, after my cozy games research, I did not really expect much, and unsurprisingly, I didn't get much. Few hair options, few eye options, few feet hair options, which is lore accurate, I guess you could say that. And boom, our Karen is ready, and she looks as Karen E as I could possibly make her look. I couldn't type my own surname, but I found some funny ones, so here goes: The Adventures of Karen Longhauls. Wait, who the fuck is Bongo? Well, we're 10 minutes in, and there is the first bug. That's gonna be a long experience. I start over, create my Karen, make sure she stays Karen, and we get kidnapped by a yesified Gandalf. And finally, I'm ready to start. First things first, we have to see our new house. The hand though, the hand placement is very in character. I like the hand placement, look at her. Shush, Karen. Also, don't worry, I'm not planning on retelling you the entirety of my 44 hours of Tales of the Shire in this way, just a few first minutes, so stay with me. On the way there, Karen harasses some hobbits. Stop ignoring me, you can't ignore a Karen. No, nay, nor. They don't react, which is a first thing to note on a cozy connoisseur board, since in other cozy farming games, every single character is interactable. Another thing that catches my eye immediately is the hobbit's pathing. I did not notice that while gaming, but in hindsight, when I was looking through the footage, this hobbit, what are you doing here, bitch? Wants to take a path that hasn't been unlocked yet by us, so let's write this down as, I guess, minor bugs. Now that first impressions are made, I try to speedrun the story as much as possible, because all cozy games do this thing for some reason. When during the first in-game days, like in-game week, you unlock activities one by one, and to fully enjoy the game you need to get through these early stages as fast as you can. So buckle up, you're gonna be moving quickly through everything. As we go to our house and get introduced to the main activity, cooking. Cooking is an important part of this game, since to get more unlocks, activities, trading, etc., you need to progress your friendship with other hobbits. And progressing friendships with other hobbits can only be done by feeding them meals. Meals also play a huge part in completing main and side quests. Basically, the entire game revolves around cooking dishes. There are a total of 120 recipes you can create. For each recipe you need to gather ingredients. Some you get by fishing, some by foraging, some by farming, and some other stuff you can buy from merchants that lock higher quality ingredients behind friendship levels that you increase by, again, prepared meals. You see, full circle. You can make 1 to 5 star meals, though I have never seen a 1-star ever. And the only thing they affect is how many friendship points you're gonna gain by feeding it to a hobbit. If your meal sucks, they say, "I love it," and you get a bit of points. If your meal is amazing, they say, "I love it," and you get a lot of points. You can also make meals that taste a specific way to satisfy cravings. If you do that, hobbits send you ingredients or furniture the next day by mail. Long story short, you can't really make a mistake, but you'll have to work for a perfect meal. Oh my god, immediately after we eat, I heard you have something for me. Give gift. Give gift. That is the entire gameplay loop. Get ingredients, make a meal, increase friendship, progress clubs. We'll talk about them later. Get better ingredients, make better meals, increase friendship until you have nothing else to do. Is it a fun gameplay loop at its core? Actually, on paper, yes. What I learned through my extensive research is that cozy gamers love to grind. If that grind is done correctly, that is. Every cozy farming sim loop is a grind at its core. You just have to feel rewarded. You have to feel like you're accomplishing something, like the grinding process becomes easier, but at the same time more complex, you know, maybe involving more steps, but you don't have to like water a plant one by one anymore. Do you feel rewarded here? We'll get to that later, but you can guess. Now that you understand the core idea behind the game, let's see how we navigate around the bywater, because it's also pretty interesting. We have a map that stocks the locations of all the main hobbits in real time, but if we choose a destination, instead of a big arrow or a minimap or a compass or any other solution you normally see, we get a bird leading us where we need to go to explore whimsically, let's say. I've seen people being really annoyed by this and wanting a minimap and disliking this, but I guess I have an unpopular opinion. I love when games don't have a minimap. I love when they introduce creative solutions. Honestly, generally, I'm gonna even go that far to say I love it when your location isn't even on the map and you have to navigate by landmarks a bit. But that's just me, and I know that. I got many gamer friends that get turned around easily and have a hard time without a little help. At the end of the day, gaming is a hobby, is a way to relax. It shouldn't torture you if you don't ask nicely, of course. So I'm all for accessibility and having options. I strongly believe that this game should have had an option for a minimap, because bird directions, at least at first, were fucking confusing. Again, I personally had no issue with that. I loved it. Let's finally talk about the main story a little bit now. Every single story in any single game, movie, book, anywhere has to have a conflict, or otherwise, like, why are we even here? The core conflict of this game is Bywater's hobbits want Bywater to be called a village, and it is not being recognized as village yet. Is that a good conflict / story for a cozy game? Well, obviously not. I don't know if you're, dear viewer, an avid cozy gamer, a Lord of the Rings fan, or just curious how about the Tales of the Shire release, but let me explain to you why this is a bad premise. Cozy gamers, even though they like relaxing gameplay, that relaxing experience becomes stressful pretty fast. You got time limits on quests, on seasons. If you don't do this in this amount of time, you'll miss out on a festival, or you'll have to wait a whole season or a whole year before continuing, or you'll lose friendship points. There's actually always something on the line pushing you forward. And the main story of these games normally matches the stress level. In Stardew, you have to save the village from evil corporation that wants to destroy everything good about it. Thus, you have to restore the community and the village, etc. In Coral Island, you have to restore the nature of the island before an evil corporation gets ownership of the town and spills their oils all over the ocean. In Sandrock, you have to preserve water and fend off monsters, find evil spies among villagers, and destroy their plants before you literally run out of the fresh water and die. You see, like, the drastic difference? There's always danger, always evil forces pushing you forward, and the side stories are often also very intense. Maybe not life or death intense, but there are plotlines that are relevant, like dealing with loss, dealing with addiction, dealing with abuse, dealing with pressure, dealing with failure, pursuing dreams. And in Tales of the Shire, you want to be a village, and if you fail, nothing happens. Nothing changes. Nothing evil is going to destroy everything. Side quests are better, but not by a lot. You have a daughter who wants to be a farmer, but not allowed to be a farmer because she's a female. I mean, that's a little more relatable, hence side quests are better, but they really lack depth. Farmer Cotton and his daughter are competing to be the leaders of the farming club, and to do that, they are growing vegetables and comparing who's better. And Rosie here, the daughter that's competing, asked me to grow a 2-star vegetable, give it to her, and present my vegetable as her accomplishment. And he says, the father, Farmer Cotton, says that Rosie has been a good teacher to me. What? I grew it. What? I haven't gotten emotionally invested in anyone's story, and I'm a little bitch that fell in love with a pixel man with white hair and cried my eyes out when this dude who I didn't even care about was saying last goodbyes to his old pet dog fun bucket. What I mean is, the bar to impress me isn't fucking high. But yeah, if you still care about what happens in the main story, we haven't even got to that, oh my god. In order to get the village status, you need to meet certain criteria, and to know which criteria, which rules you need to follow, you need to find the book of rules, which basically sets you off to meet every important character in the game. On this quest we meet a fisherman and unlock fishing activity. Fishing here is pretty simple, like in most cozy games. You get the rod, you go to a pond, you get the fish. No bait or anything like that needed. I hate fishing personally in most games, so I can't really rate the activity and tell you if it's fun or not, because it was not boring for the first 4 fishing attempts, I guess. But that's just me. More on fishing later. You also get introduced to gardening, which is self-explanatory, right? You buy seeds, you plant them, you wait a few days, you harvest. Don't forget to water the plants from time to time. No fertilizers needed, crops won't steal your seeds. Even if a new season hits or you forget to water your plants, they won't die, they just grow slower. There is no way to mess it up. Oh, by the way, to progress the story, you need to do the story quests. Well, obviously. And to do community stuff as well. Either community board chores, we'll get to them, I promise, or just hanging out with hobbits and doing their side quests. So if you stay proactive, you can have more than 100% completion of an act before you're done with the main quest. So I finished Act 1 for in-game days in. Each day lasts like 30 minutes. So after 2 hours of playtime, Act 1 was done. We found the book of rules, and now we need to fulfill them and let the assessor see the bywater and call it a village. 3 more in-game days in. So 1 hour and a half later, and we unlock club boards. Finally, let's talk about club boards. Now this is the point where most players stop playing. So basically, club boards are quests to catch this fish, or plant this seed, or harvest that fruit. You get it. Incentives to interact with in-game activities. The higher the level of the club, the more unlockables you get. New cooking utensils, better fishing rods, more gardening space, and a bigger backpack. All fine things. Is that a good idea? Honestly, yeah, I do think it's a great idea. You do the activities either way, and now you get rewarded more for doing them, and you get to progress something amazing. So what's the issue? Well, the issue is that it's too little too late. I've spent 3.5 hours at this point, and I was trying to speed through the story. Those who take it slow probably spend 5 or even 7 hours, and now they get boards that incentivize to do more of the stuff they've already kind of sick of doing. Everything you did before basically doesn't matter, and you have to grind again, and a lot. And at this point it's just easier to give up. That's why people freaking end up giving up. I can't blame those people, but I came here to 100%, so I'm staying, and I stayed. Since, well, that's basically all the game has to offer. No, you heard that right. This is all the game has to offer. So let's break down each activity and see what works and what doesn't. Gardening. Club boards don't add anything to the gardening. They just give you more space for the gardening beds as rewards for doing the activity. Is it boring? Well, not really. Surprisingly. I feel like every time I ask a question, you never know what the answer is. Gardening in this game is actually pretty well thought through. So you got your gardening beds and seeds. The seeds grant 1-star harvest, but to get good meals you need 3-star. What do? There is a system that if you plant friendly plants in the same gardening bed, they have a better chance of granting higher quality produce. So there is a bit of strategy there. You have limited space and you want to maximize the amount of friendly plants growing in the same pot to get the best outcome. Moreover, each season you get different seeds, which keeps it entertaining for a prolonged amount of time. Moreover, befriending farmer Cotton expands his shop, introducing even more seeds. This is an overall A-tier activity. It was actually more fun than in other cozy farming sim games that I played. Fishing and harvesting. We are going to discuss both at once because they share the same issues. Basically, as soon as you collect everything there is to collect, that's it. You've hit the ceiling, and it's only a snooze fest from there. Yes, the seasons do change the collectibles, but it's only fresh for like one in-game day, and then it's boring again. When you progress harvesting, you get a better backpack. When you progress fishing, you get a better rod that lets you catch new fish types. Well, okay. Gameplay-wise, there is no difference at all. It's a very mundane, very repetitive activity that you have to do a lot. I wanted to DIE. It was such a chore. I can't describe it. The worst part is that when you allegedly get better in this activity, like the activity teachers tell you that you know everything now and you're a pro, the probability of getting a better fish or harvestable doesn't get higher. Meaning, if at the beginning of the game you had to collect like 15 walnuts to get one 3-star walnut, then at the end of the game you still have to collect 15 walnuts to get one 3-star walnut. Maybe the probability increases, but the difference is so minuscule, I never felt it. Same with the fish. It just doesn't work. If I were to quote-unquote fix these activities and make them more entertaining, I'd firstly make that each fish tier has its own mini game. Boom. Fishing is fun for a lot longer. And also make it so when you progress club levels, you have a significantly better chance to get a better star things. Like when I'm done with clubs, I don't want to see those 1 stars anymore ever. Get them out of here. It wouldn't suddenly make harvesting an absolute joy, but it would make it not a chore. Before we get to the main course, let's discuss decorating. I myself don't give 2 fucks about decorating, but I did try my best to try and get into the mindset of a gamer who loves spending time making their plot of land look stunning. I did give it my best shot in every game I played, even while in the testing phase. Decorating was okay. It gives you the freedom to put whatever you want almost anywhere. Scrolls on shelves, under tables, on top of each other, etc. But there were not enough miscellaneous things to just fill the cupboards with stuff, put on tables, etc. So I ran out of things pretty fast after completing like half the house. I like decorating more than in other games because of this freedom, and I think it would be a nice addition to a great game, but the game wasn't great, so at the end of the day it just doesn't matter if decorating is fun. No one is buying cozy farming sim for decorating alone. Cooking. About cooking, it's the core of the game and it's a lot of fun. It's confusing at first, yes. But when you unlock more utensils, that mini game was my lifeline while trying to 100% the game. It was the only part I truly enjoyed. When you get all the ingredients for a meal you need for a hobbit you invited, you get to combine them using different means. Some utensils make the meal crispier, some more tender. You also have to make sure it's cut right to meet the chunky/smooth requirements. Basically, you have to try and hit that perfect spot by any means. You can also add seasoning to each ingredient to change its taste, because taste matters a lot. Some taste combinations grant a bonus star, like making the meal bittersweet or spicy salty. There is a lot to cooking, and it actually makes acquiring ingredients almost worth it. Almost. Fishing and harvesting really ruined it for me, but overall I think the game could have been great if we, make some changes to fishing and harvesting and also scrap the entire story and raise the stakes a little. For example, imagine something evil is coming and you can only satisfy the evil's cravings by cooking perfect meals of perfect texture and taste, like making a feast. That actually sounds fire, not going to lie. How other games find balance so the activities like mining or trash cleaning don't become boring? Well, they make sure that they don't overstay its welcome. You have 100 levels in the mine. Once you're done, that's it. Find something else to do. Clear goals, somewhat challenging gameplay and variability. You get copper here, you get gold here, new enemies here, new seasons, new seeds. And while all this is going on, you have a captivating story. Tales of the Shire misses on almost all the accounts, which is tragic, because the core gameplay idea is innovative and fun. Anyway, now that this is out of the way, let's finish with the story and my adventure to 100% everything. Oh, how I want to tell you that the plot twist at the end was worth all the grinding and all the time spent, but no, the story is very unsurprising to say the least. Act 2 revolves around proving that Bywater meets all village criteria to the assessor. You create clubs, make that we already discussed, make a wolf ornament which nearly kills the assessor, nurse him back to health, make one of the hobbits a sheriff, and throw a festival. The end. No, you did not misheard me. That's the end. I reached this point 11 days into second season, 15 hours in. Is 15 hours a lot for a cozy farming sim? Well, let's just say that completing Coral Island story took me 173 hours and Sandrocks 91 hours, Stardew's 115 hours, meaning that's very short by cozy farming sim standards. At the same time, I think nobody expected a huge game out of Tales of the Shire. It's just, if you introduce seasons, you have to make sure that the story takes at least one in-game year to complete to make the player see all the seasons and all the variability. If it was me, instead of 14 days, I'd make a season last 7 then. Yes, short seasons. Short and sweet. Scenery changes a lot, collectibles change fast, you don't have time to get bored, 3 to 4 hours for one season, as soon as you feel the repetitiveness creeping in and the story is kind of meh, boom, new season, more dopamine. That's basically the solution. Make it short but packed with content, that's fine. That would make for much more entertaining 15 hours. I've been thinking, is Bywater going to be a village? Bruh. It is a village. We've done quests. We've been through half a year of making it a village. We almost killed, at least we kidnapped and almost killed the assessor. And we had a freaking festival that you attended. That was because Bywater is now a village. Oh my god. When it comes to 100%ing, I had to play 30 more hours past this point just to collect everything, get highest rankings in all the clubs, etc. Was it worth it? No. So let's see the highlights. Firstly, I bet if you've seen any other YouTuber rate this game, you definitely haven't seen winter or spring. So here's how they look like. Secondly, most achievements is just a grind, as you would expect. So the most fun ones were to feed every hobbit with a 5-star meal, which was actually pretty cool. Because remember, cooking was a fun thing to do. And to have a meal with Farmer, Cotton and Sandyman. Because basically those two hate each other, and I thought maybe if there is an achievement there would be a unique interaction, or maybe they would refuse to come, but no. No such thing. Of course, it was a basic ass meal like all the other meals in the game, which made me kind of sad. There was also an achievement for collecting and cooking all the recipes required and maximizing friendships with every hobbit. So I had to prepare a lot of 5-star meals because they made it much easier and faster, so I became a cooking expert. Here's a footage of me getting a 5-star meal. The saddest part of this entire saga was me realizing that I missed apricots during autumn, and now I will have to wait 2 entire seasons until they are available again. And you can't just sleep and skip days. You need to wait 15 in-game minutes of a day until you can sleep, and that was actually tragic. But when I finally hit those 100%, guess what happened, gamers? Just guess. Actually, I didn't record it when it happened, but here's the reenactment of this glorious moment. Yes, exactly. Nothing fucking happened. Imagine me just sitting there with 1,000 miles there, realizing that I spent 44 hours, 250 hours if you include my research of a cozy farming sim genre of my life to make a video that no one would ever watch. In conclusion, is this game as bad as everyone was saying? Yeah. games. If you try to 100%, then maybe even worse. Could it have been a good game? Yes, absolutely it could. It has a good core gameplay idea, and there definitely were attempts to make a rewarding gameplay loop. It just didn't work out, I guess. And this makes the story a million times sadder. It actually could have been a fun game. It feels severely undercooked gameplay-wise, and the story is totally fried, but it does have a good ideas in there, and that makes me depressed. On that note, go get a game and preferably something else already. Shush!